meeting. This is the regular meeting of the New Canaan Police Commission, September 2023. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on July 19th.
Yeah, I had nothing.
I had just a typo,
Oh,
Jennifer. At the bottom of page 1, very last line, Deputy Chief Walsh stated, and there's an S
singular.
stuck there. And then on page 2, that first full paragraph, the line reads, traffic and speed issues on Conrad Road, Deputy Chief Walsh has, I think we need the word been addressing. Okay. Any other comments?
No. Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Done.
Done. Okay. Minutes of the special session meeting on the 22nd of August. Any comments on those?
No.
No.
My question was, did both of those candidates accept they did, thanks, that's what I thought, thanks.
Good.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so moved. Second,
Good.
third, vote yes, approved. E-bike safety.
It's good. This is where you like us. I haven't presented here in a while now with all the Zoom. I don't think I've been here since we've done Zoom in this room.
So your election.
We know who you are. Tucker Murphy speaking.
Tucker Murphy.
Yes, but I'm here just as Tucker Murphy resident. I'm not here in any other capacity, but I'm here speaking on behalf of a number of people that have reached out to me concerning e-bike safety in and around Canaan. As you probably are aware, in fact, we just had a brief discussion about it. There seems to be a proliferation of e-bikes, scooters, hoverboards, all of that, which is great to see everyone out on their bikes. But the unfortunate thing is that they are becoming really a safety concern for so many people, actually for drivers as well as the people riding bikes. And I really want to be careful and say these aren't just kids riding these bikes. There's a lot of adults, and it's just general cycling safety that seems to be a concern. This all came to a head about a month ago when there was a near miss at the top of God's Acre one evening after a meeting, and where a number of kids were sort of riding amongst themselves. There were 2-3 on a bike, and they came flying out of St. John's Place across to the town hall, and we all came to a screeching halt and literally all got out of our cars and we stood there. Oh my God, how that could have transpired into such a tragedy. So there's been a lot of talk in and around town about this, and the goal is that maybe we could work with you all, or maybe you've already have something established, some sort of a public awareness campaign. Got a series of articles. I brought some copies, which I'm happy to leave with you. New York Times has done a number of articles regarding for e-bike safety, and one of the things that I learned in reading a lot about these bikes is that they can be easily reprogrammed to go in excess of 20 miles an hour. And if they do go more than 20 miles an hour, you do need to be a licensed driver. You need to be 16 years old at age and older. So I learned a lot along the way. As I say, there's a number of examples of fact when this all started happening. I became moms. One of the moms shared a story of her niece who is still in ICU from an accident that she had this summer out and about on her bike. So again, not just a child's problem, certainly a community issue, but there's concern of you young drivers who could be blindsided by some of these bikes. Some aren't wearing helmets. I see regular cyclists, again, adults flying right through stop signs, right through red lights. And that's just why I'm here basically, is just to start that discussion and offer any help that we can give you to maybe start some sort of campaign. Straightforward.
Have we started to look at this at all, Chief?
I think Officer Cece was starting to do something, but I think it's going to be an emerging trend, not just for us, but all over, because they're becoming more and more prevalent, and they do go quite fast. So we'll look into it further and see what the existing laws are and what kind of information campaign we can get started. But I think that's a good idea. So I see the kids, mostly I see kids on the bikes and motorized scooters. Just
You're right.
I saw a kid the other day going up on a scooter and he was flying.
Yeah.
Going very, very fast. And,
Yeah.
Just with the helmet on,
Right.
not strapped, so it is something that we're gonna have to start paying attention to.
Yeah. Okay. Any other further discussion?
just if you want to have a chance to read them.
No, I was in Brooklyn the other day. It's all over.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's hard driving and it's hard enough driving in Brooklyn, but then the bikes are all coming in and out of traffic. It's just, and now I see them, in Elm as well. So,
Yeah,
someone's gonna get hurt and, you gotta do something about it. Okay.
Thank you.
thank you, Tucker. Okay, our next order of business is the road closure for the New Canaan High School Ergathon.
Yes. Hi,
Someone
thank you.
like to speak to that?
I'm Dave DeVito. I'm a parent with Canaan Crew and Third Time Rowing, and I'm here representing the club to request ability to kind of close off pop-up park area like doing the Ergathon for quite some time. It's a good event for raising awareness of the club. It's also a big fundraiser every single year. I apologize if it's last minute. We're looking for this Saturday morning from 7:30 to 11. The reason for the delay is that it's a parent driven, as you can see, organization, and the parent that usually was doing this graduated and the transition wasn't as smooth as good. So I apologize for being last minute. So our permits and our COI are in Tucker's, so we're good there. Try to get as much done as we can before this meeting. That's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Who puts up the barrier for that?
They will.
They will.
Lowe's knows to leave them out.
Mo's
there,
does. Okay.
And then they'll put them out. Tomorrow.
That'll be kind of a crummy day, I guess.
I just got down there and
Yes.
we talked about exactly where they should be.
Okay.
And are there insurance issues that need to be?
I received a certificate.
Okay,
Oh, it's a great organization. Sent a lot of rowers to many colleges and to the Olympics from that group. So
Yeah.
it's well known.
Your nationals this year, I think we've had 2 golds, 3 bronze in nationals. We placed the most athletes in nationals this past year. So it's been a really good opportunity. Kids to
Right.
learn.
And your daughters are growing, right?
My daughter's a rower. She's a sophomore at the high school. And, she's a 2-time medalist, a little humble brag. And
That's
so-
okay. That's why we're here.
Yeah. But no, it's a great organization. What say our slogan is that we build champions on and off the water. I mean, the confidence and just the fitness of these kids is just unbelievable. That's part of the morning too. The kids are really empowered to really take charge. There's going to be a bunch of parents there and the coaches and those from the club, but they're going to really empower the kids to get out there and really connect with the community. So I think it's a really good exercise for them as well because building the leadership skills and the communication skills on that order.
Right. I'll make a motion to approve the.
okay, second and vote, approve,
Hey,
approved, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so why don't we make a bit of a detour on our agenda so that we can have this, what's that? No pun intended, yeah. The Conrad Road traffic issues discussed. Who would like to speak first?
And if we could keep this speak just, compact, 5 minutes or less, 4 minutes would be great.
So, thank you for letting us speak first of all.
And if you could identify yourself.
Watch the video. My name is Mariana.
Oh, yeah.
I live on a Conrad Road, closer to the South Street.
And your last name, Mariana? I'm sorry.
Setting.
Okay. Yes, okay.
You will not be able to.
You don't have to say.
So we're closer to the South Street, South Avenue, from where the proposed roundabout is going to be. If you manage to, I send the video,
I saw it, yeah.
that's how I manage it. So when we moved here, my daughter was forcing along the street, going along to the bus, waiting along. 2 years past, I'm in a position that I literally have to stand on the street and raise my hand, stop the oncoming traffic to cross the street. Our neighbor does that with his wife, and she was the driver because he cannot get out of that driveways. For me, after my daughter leaves, when I'm leaving to drop off my younger child to West preschool, I literally can make a left turn. No one is letting me in. That we are talking about the stream of steady ongoing traffic.
Right, and that starts at, what time?
From 7 to 8 is a constant speeding, it's just steady stream speeding cars. From 8:10 to 8:40, you're talking about bumper to bumper traffic. Our first study was last year, what I managed to solve, we had like 5,000 cars going in that direction. Now we have more than 10,000.
In that time period?
Yeah, in the time period of the whole study.
All right, how many per day? Tiger, do we know?
We have that.
Oh, yeah.
So
5-6 days.
the average volume per day when we did it in May was going westbound, which is the direction that I was talking about, it's 1,528 cars average per day.
What was that number again? 1,000?
1,528, and that was in May. We had them up again this past week, but the angle and the placement of it was kind of off, and I don't think we're correct. So we have them placed in it. Yesterday I had them replaced again. Hopefully they're picking up better data right now.
And is that on Conrad or is that on Gertie's too? Or is
No,
it
that's
just
just
Conrad?
Conrad, that's just Conrad.
Because some go to
Going up
Gertie's.
towards south, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, in November of 22, we had a study and the average volume per day then was only 787 going westbound. So there's been more than double.
Right, people are back to work, they're on the merit, and that's,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot heavier than it was before, for sure.
yeah, I was there this morning. 7 to 7:30 and it was building. It seemed as though, to me, the traffic was coming up from Norwalk, making a left onto Gertie's, and then
I did the same thing around between 7:45 and 8:15 today.
Same thing happens in the afternoons from 3:30 to like 6 o'clock, but the volume comes down.
yeah,
Right?
of course, right. They're coming
And
back.
that's less in the volume, but more in the speed, since it's just the open road in front of them. And it's really unsafe for everyone. Our kids are walking to school. My daughter walks back from school. Since we are not connected with the sidewalks, she walks behind the Y onto the Danvers and then to the Ripple Tree and then up the Conrad. So since she goes up the Conrad, we have flying cars down the Conrad by her. So I instructed her to walk on our neighbor's front yards because it's just unsafe. We need to enforce that speed. If we manage to cut the speed, definitely Waze is not gonna put us as a afternoon roundabout for the whole oncoming traffic. Because if the Waze gets off from this point to that point, you're getting faster, the cars are just gonna keep coming on the Conrad. Yesterday, my friend texted me, I'm coming from Stanford. Waze just put me to go on the old mobile road through your street, not on Gertie's. So Waze is directing traffic just because people manage to speed and they're faster too. So we need some immediate help in like, would it be police enforcement of the speed? Would it be those safety bollards in the middle of the street just to slow down the traffic? Until we get some more permanent solutions like, I don't know, speed cameras, that roundabout is gonna be on a corner,
I know.
maybe speed bumps, something like that. So,
Is it speed or volume?
Both.
We were sent a video, the cars were lined up all the way, but they're basically barely moving.
That's in the grid when we become the complete stand down from the 8:10 to 8:40.
The morning,
But
yeah.
in
Yeah.
between them, before and after, and throughout the whole day, we're talking about speed.
Yeah.
It's a combination of the both.
Is this,
Hi, I'm another resident from Conrad. I'm on the phone. It's definitely both. It's speed and volume. I've been counting cars
You know,
and sending film in, and it's definitely both. We're counting 400 cars possibly in an hour some mornings. And we're following cars and we're tracking cars going in excess of 40 miles per hour.
So, my name is Mark Todd. I live on Conrad, also Street Mariana. So we've been in discussions with Chief Walsh and Tiger about, possible solutions, stop signs were put up at the intersection of Whipple Tree, which, even if people kind of do a rolling stop, it's slowing them down at that particular intersection. But, the speedway from South Avenue down the grade, before they get to that point, they're traveling pretty fast, and then once they come through the intersection, they fly up the street. So, the two, Chief and Tiger, they're looking at possible solutions with sidewalks or, whatever might try to slow things down, but, one of my questions is that, the state recently gave the okay to, municipalities to put speed cameras within towns. So I don't know if the police commission has discussed that at all, thought about that at all. So on the New York City DOT website, it says that, since they went 24 hours, they're with their speed cameras, initially when they put them in, they were turned off from 10 PM to 6 AM. When they left them on 24 hours, they noticed a 25% reduction in speed citywide.
Right, they take pictures of the license
Well, it
plate, right,
gives- it
and
gives
say
some
that works.
I don't know what the threshold is, but it takes a picture of the license plate and the speed of the car.
And sends them a bill.
It gives to the registered owner of the car. That's, I don't really care about giving tickets, but that's something that also then goes on to waves, So someone who's doing, what the cut through or whatever is gonna get a notification, speed camera ahead or something
Right,
like that.
that's right.
Slow down. Or maybe if people don't know, but they know they're, in this town, they'll generally slow down. As far as the traffic, I mean, one of the things that the chief and I can talk about is possibly putting a no through traffic sign on Gertie's to turn onto Conrad at that intersection. And even if it's not enforced or it's not enforced all the time, just the sign being there, it's not gonna increase traffic. It might reduce traffic, but people aren't gonna be sure what that means, as it was explained to me by Tiger or the chief, I can't remember, that anyone who's got business in New Canaan is entitled to go through that street. And that's fine, I mean, whatever, like I said, I'm not, asking for a police car to be positioned at the end of our street every day to enforce that, but I think it could help to reduce the number of vehicles that are using the street.
Okay.
But at least there's, I think, discussions with the,
Okay,
Anyone else?
I'm a tiger.
I am, my name is Pat Kalenka, and I have lived on Conrad Road for 34 years. So I'm right at the speedway 40, and right when they're doing their fastest. So over the years, speed was definitely an issue. It wasn't. I believe that somebody in the highway department had mentioned to me that our road is actually never meant to be the kind of thoroughfare that it is. It's fairly smaller, 11 feet wide, as opposed to being a whipple tree or other roads, which are quite a bit wider. So it was never meant to be that kind of a road. So speed is an issue. The traffic signs that you have, the one you put in the middle, is a godsend. I have to tell you, that is the best thing, because they see that themselves, and they know they have to do something eventually. They may speed to it, they're gonna do something.
I'm sorry, the speed, the sign in the middle, oh, the stop sign in the middle
Oh
of,
my gosh, it's so fabulous, and I
Yeah.
understand that's the concept behind the trucks. I think that was. As far as the volume and waves, absolutely. I understand that probably the firm grasp of the obvious, which is the Bernie's Road traffic light that you all are working on. Hope you get there, because that probably is probably 50% of what the situation would be.
it's just
Yeah.
slow. That light's slow.
That's what it is. It's backing up. And so folks start to look for their alternatives. You can see, well, I can pick up a couple of minutes for the down contract. Yeah, the lines are long, it's gonna be faster. So
Okay,
I think that can be useful.
like, I want you, you want them.
So Tiger Man, Director of Public Works, so we met with the residents, Andrew and I met with residents Monday morning for about an hour, Andrew stayed in longer. To view what's going on, we had done a preliminary study of the area, and RC and Hanover came in and do a preliminary study last year, to take a look at the, mainly the intersection. We were getting complaints about Whipple Creek and Conrad intersection. And the stop signs set back, and there wasn't any. While the stop sign control, no one was paying attention to it. So therefore, it seemed like the intersection was just a free for all, and whoever got there for to go, what have you, there was no with anyone else. So we took a look at the intersection. And at that point in time, we started having talks about speed and volume that was happening now because of backups on the merit. And other problems that were causing anytime there seemed to be a backup on the merit, they got a problem. Now it seems to be constant, you know, almost every day we're getting those videos of the issue. So the traffic engineer gave us 3 options for the intersection, and those options, one of them was just to make the intersection a little bit more well defined, close off Whipple Tree to be that stop, and then Conrad would be open for free flow. That wouldn't help volume and speed on Conrad, because you would just be able to, at that point in time, it would be well defined for you, so you just travel straight on Conrad and would actually probably exacerbate the problem. So the other 2 options, one was a mini roundabout, the second was a standard size roundabout. The mini roundabout has a 30-foot radius, standard has about a 40-foot radius. The large one didn't fit in the neighborhood, and it basically took up our entire right. So all the way from edge to edge, 50 wide, wasn't necessarily in keeping with the area. And the mini roundabouts seem to be what would help us not only with the intersection control, but then slow the speeds down so that the first segment coming off Gertie's, they have to slow to go through the circle. And then at that point in time, we're hoping that they would accelerate to a modest speed, you know, to make the rest of it like, you know, while it might not solve everything, it hopefully would, you know, do that. And then the fact that it would be an additional time or necessarily an impediment to travel, people would stay on Gertie's, right? It's about the volume. We met with Hardesty and Hanover this morning because we selected the mini roundabout and said, let's pursue this idea further, meaning that we'll get to a preliminary design, then come forward with for comments and before we get to the final design. It's about $20,000. I got a $2,000 contingency for about $22,000 to look at it. We spent about just under 5 looking at it before to give us the preliminary read as to the 3 options. Now we've got a contract for about $20,000 broken up into these phases. So we'll take a look. So after they get done with the first phase of giving us a preliminary design of what it would look like, how it would fit, it would go back to the commission and say, no, this is what we'd like to proceed forward with. We did speak to them about our meeting with the residents and the concern about speed and volume, and they both feel that it will help. Might not be a complete deterrent. I'm not going to say it's going to solve the entire problem, but it is a good first step. The fact that we solve the intersection problems, and then hopefully this starts to attack some of the speed and volume. Along with that, we tasked them with a study of the traffic light at 124 and Gertie's. They're all in unison, so that the intersection for both the on ramps, on and off ramps for exit 37 are tied together. So we're looking at the entire intersection itself. So Gertie's and South, as well as what's a White Birch, and the Merritt as well, and southbound. And
The other
so
side.
we're looking at the entire thing, but predominantly focusing on the Gertie's 124. And they've already told us that they think that there's a problem with the signal at present, and it's not reading. The loop detectors aren't working, so therefore it's not reading a car. It's only that it's a default mode, so it'll stay at whatever the default mode is. So it's a 15-second window for Gertie's. It's a 15-second window. So I emailed the state this morning, today, to say, hey, can you go back up? Our traffic engineer says that there's a problem. Can you go out there and take a look? So we're hoping that we get an answer from them to go out there and take a look and see. And if it is on a default mode and it goes back to a on call, that would actually help alleviate some of the volume, would allow a lot more cars to come through off the Gertie's, which would then alleviate that backup and maybe not send as many cars down Conrad. The more we can get through Gertie's, the less we go down Conrad, because they're all heading in the same direction. So that's in essence where we stand right now. We did discuss the idea of putting in edge striping on either side of the road. The road's only 20 feet wide, so technically by the METCD, they want you to have 2 10s. We could go to 2 9s. That would still be increasing with some of our roads in town. In fact, we have some of our roads are 18 feet wide, so we're not getting to the point where we get 2 feet. But that would allow a little bit of area for the pedestrian to walk along the shoulder and narrow down the roadway itself. In the past, when we did it on Main Street, we saw 2 to 3 mile per hour reduction, which is consistent with what they say in the studies that we ran, right, that edge striping gives you about a 2 to 3 mile per hour reduction. While it's not gonna, you know, take care of that entire delta, any miles per hour that we reduce is a good thing. And then we did discuss the option of sidewalks. Right now, the Conrad is not in the POCD, the Plan of Conservation Development, for a sidewalk extension. It's just not sketched in. So the 2014 POCD and the 2003 didn't signify Conrad to be there. That is it's not prerequisite, but it's close to a prerequisite for planning and zoning to say yes. There's sidewalk here, but they could theoretically look at it and say there's other sidewalks in the area. White Whipple Tree comes all the way through, behind the Y has sidewalks. Theoretically, we could extend that through Conrad to south, and then work our way back south back to the Y, the stretch that stops at Surrey. So that's another option as well. And sidewalks have been proven to actually slow speeds as well, because while you might not be narrowing the roadbed, you're visually narrowing the roadbed, so you actually have something else out there. The sidewalk is out there, the pedestrian on it. That causes people to slow down as well. And then we did discuss the idea of speed humps. Speed humps are, well, they're not an emergency services road. We did say that from the TPW standpoint, we're opposed. We think that one, I feel that aesthetically it just won't be pleasing to the eye for what the treatments that we would have to do to put it up and then sign it and stripe it properly, and then the number that we would have to have on the street. And it would be our first one where we haven't had any before, and the once we set the precedent, we see probably proliferation of them throughout town, because we get a lot more requests. We've had probably, I don't know how many, John, here, but quite a few, let's say well over 10 or more that we've had where we've said no to. So I'd like to pursue the other options first before we go down to that level. That's where we stand. They're gonna look for the kickoff meeting. They're gonna come out next week. We have to do a little bit of survey, and they're gonna come forward and give us a design read. That should take, I'll say it's gonna take 2 months, but I'll try to push them along a little bit to try to shorten down that time frame. But regardless, we'd probably be out of this construction season into next year's construction season. That's what I told him. So I think that we would come to a preliminary design in about 2 months, then hash that out, see what we wanted to do, whether we wanted to continue to pursue the idea or not, and then finalize the design and then go to construction in the spring. The thought is that it would be a treated island, meaning it wouldn't be out of paint. It would be basically a Belgian block circle with either brick or other Belgian block in the center, so it would be mountable.
Just raised.
Just raised, not, no plantings, nothing, because the turning radii for the fire trucks and for, say, a tractor trailer wouldn't necessarily make it, so you'd have to be mountable. But it would be of a material whereby you wouldn't want to drive over it, you know, by nature. Paint, they could just shoot straight over it. We actually treat it, would be a much better option to then make the motors follow the roundabout. And we would look to treat the splitter island that leads to each one of them the same thing. There's a small triangular splitter island, if you can imagine, as you try to navigate through. We would treat those the exact same as well. So that was their marching orders this morning, and you know, we'll try to hurry them along. They said they'll be out here next week to take a look. They're going to be doing traffic counts and some work on the Gertie's traffic light next week as well, so that they're here at the exact same time. Review Conrad, Whipple Tree, as well as Gertie's and South Avenue. So, that gives you everything that's present.
Sidewalk isn't a bad idea either.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but
not.
we could help.
Yeah.
Zoning the law first down. Would sidewalks be preferable with more immediate for the safety of the kids?
Well, for the safety, it would be a
That's
very good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also visually, like you say, it makes it tighter.
yes, it does.
Would it be on both sides?
No, just on, probably just one side. Looking at it the other day, and given the fact that everything is to the north, so you'd probably be on the north side, right? Because when you're coming from Whipple Tree, you'll walk straight around and it becomes straight up and then go back down south. We tried to a little while ago extended down south. There was no destination at that point in time. It was a destination, basically the church and the entrance to Waveney, but there's already ways to get into Waveney from the YMCA up there. So the council was a little bit reluctant to say, okay, let's go. But given concerns here, yes, I think that would definitely help us. And to be honest, I was surprised that the POCD did not have Conrad on it specifically because it's part of behind the Y neighborhood and
Part of the loop.
sidewalks lead all the way up to it. So I don't know exactly why it was omitted at the time that it was built. That's a question I really can't answer, but I was surprised when I did look at it saying that, wow, it's not, but it probably should have been, quite honest.
There's also an
They're not the
entrance,
First ones to have asked.
yes, there's also an entrance to Waveney there too.
Exactly,
running-
that was the other point that they said, so move there because Waveney's right across the street, but you're still gonna have to walk on the road at present to then get across the street and, the road right now with the increased volumes and increased speeds is, it's not a good situation.
Man, what can we get as our help us during this time while we wait for sidewalk, circle, all the studies to be done? Right, to protect us, so we can safely leave our driveways and safely go across the street in discussion. I know it's not fun.
Well, I know, we don't have a lot of extra people we can, but we just don't have the,
There's no immediate fix. I mean,
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
problem that's nationwide. It's not just us. It's the
Can you
ways.
get that no cartoon sign like faster?
No, that's not something that's gonna be an immediate fix or
So does
effect.
that, I mean, I'm just curious myself, and I know we discussed this with Chief and Tiger, so is that something that, either the police commission or, Public Works has to ask the state permission for, or is it something that can be done within?
The no turn sign,
Yeah, no through traffic.
Yeah,
No through
no
traffic.
no through traffic would be
That's also,
yeah, we'll have to look into that and it's
Yeah.
basically not enforceable. So,
No, I know that, but I think.
but so we're not in the business of putting up signs that are unenforceable. That's not something that I can honestly sit here and endorse as an effective means to be something that's an
Right,
immediate
it's the
solution,
same-
but
it's
Deputy
the
Chief
same
Walsh
about
is.
speed limits. I mean, like, the speed limit signs are all.
Speed limits are enforceable.
You do enforce them, but people still speed.
Correct. But we'll continue our enforcement, we'll continue to gather data, from the speed signs and.
we want to try to put them north and north, south, east, and west. But when we get done with the next study, want to add one, say, to try to then deter if you coming eastbound and then have one coming westbound, turn the one back on westbound,
Speed
right?
sign, you mean?
Speed sentries, yeah, just add speed sentry to the eastbound leg, right? Which would be the afternoon leg heading down, right? So they can see that as they go, say, halfway down the street, right? Probably across from.
That would be good data to
Yeah,
get. I would like to see that
Flankers.
coming from South Avenue.
Is there-
We're doing that right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we'll look further into the recent, the public act that allows the speed camera. So I'd be interested to see what the process is in getting those and the price of those, because it's something new to Connecticut, but I'm eager to try that. I think that would be very, very effective. Even if we could put them there for a short term, several months, and then move to different locations, that might even have a more of an effect, but we'll look further into that, but, we've got to manage expectations. There's no quick fix. We've been dealing with this for years with, prior to even these commissioners' tenure on the board from Nursery Road. It's something with Waze, and I wish there was a way that we could talk to Waze and have them reconfigure their algorithm, because it's kind of senseless to put cars through these back roads to save a minute of travel time, and that seems to be what it does. For no
Will
one.
we keep your, interim, traffic signs in the middle of?
Stop signs, yeah, I think,
Okay, so then we can.
Yeah, they've been there for months. We put them in,
Yeah.
I think we put them out there in May.
All right,
Yeah.
I heard that they might be bigger next, okay, good, so that would be what.
No, they'll be there until construction starts.
That's great, and then is the, discussion with the state about the police light, is that something that will take quite a bit of time as well, Tyler? Or is that possible?
They've been more responsive of late. I have to say, last time, contacted them, say that twice in the past month. And they've been right out, take a look, so I'm anticipating that they'll come out, especially if they think that there's a defect in the light. When it's just a question of, a lot of questions we get are because they prefer the traffic on 124, so they can really see the traffic and they'll less of the time for any other side street, even in the situation where you have, like, say, Main and Cherry, right? So Main and Cherry, you come from Cherry, turn left on Main, that's all 124, 106, but Cherry coming up the hill, it's not, they defer to their work, right? So when we ask them questions like that, they tell us the function well.
Yeah,
Tell them if
yeah,
there's a problem with it, they have to figure out. So I think we'll see action in the next couple of days there specifically, if they know that there's a problem.
It's a big deal. Temporary signs staying with that.
Okay.
Right, yeah, just, if I could just say one thing.
Yeah.
If we could, in Europe, in London, they have this speed things overhead and on the M1 or M4 or whatever. People don't go over 60. I mean, they just sit there because they will ticket you and you know, whatever it is, couple tickets, you lose your license.
Yeah.
So I would.
We'll follow up on that,
Let's follow
yeah.
up on that. And is it possible, or just as a random thought here, where you're gonna put the rotary, right, or the roundabout? Can you put just a couple poles just to make it, just to stake it out a little, you know, like on a stand? And I know I think people will just hit them,
Just so it's,
Well, just trying to see. if-
like cones or even orange cones, just to,
I can do it with cones.
and that might slow people down too.
Make them go.
Yeah.
It would change at that point in time, I would have to change the configuration of the signs and they would have to change to a yield. Because they couldn't stay,
You can't stop at a rotary.
right, can't stop the rotary, so I'd have to change to a yield. That was our problem at Floral and Canoe.
Right,
remember,
Right.
So, so that it's,
Well, think about that.
yeah,
That's,
but, I'll go back to Hardison and Handle and see if they've got something, if they've got something there.
right, because if we wait for the rotary, I mean, it's gonna be June. Yeah, it's gonna be June. Whereas if this thing's out there, it's kind of like those temporary barriers we put for restaurants, you know, it's that kind of concept. It's not the real.
Sorry.
Oh, no. that-
Okay, all right, thanks very much. Thanks for your comments. And we've got to move ahead with our agenda, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next order of business is the building renovation and training facility update.
We went to finance last night. It seemed to go pretty well. They had a couple of questions and we'll just address those. We did not talk about the training facility. We thought that we were sort of on a roll with this building and there was not a need at that point to change the discussion to that. And we'll address that, I think, in November,
Mhm.
probably after the election.
Okay,
But we're moving forward. So Danny's on it, we'll be out of here in mid-November.
Yeah.
To Thanksgiving.
okay. All right, our next matter is the end of the completion of the probationary period for Officer Louveres. Chief, any reason not to
She's
proceed with
performed
that?
very well and doing great things for us. It's, we were just sending her to taser instructor, so she's advancing her career and doing great things for us.
Good, Okay. so let's vote.
I'll make a
on-
motion to take her off probation.
Okay, second, and all in favor, aye, thanks. And then now we have 3 course approvals I've looked at. Do you want to vote on all 3 in one shot? Is there any reason? we could-
We could vote.
Okay, then I would move that we vote to approve all 3 for the one for Captain Ferenga, the one for Sergeant Lopez, and the one for Officer Connolly.
Make the motion, I'll second. it. And
Okay, I so moved, second, aye, okay, approved.
do we need an executive?
Now, we did, I did make a mistake here. I skipped our monthly reports to get, so that people can get out on
There's
time.
nothing really earth shattering.
Yep.
Obviously, our budget's like pretty new. Reading is what it usually is, and our monthly statistic are right on par. No big anomalies in any areas, so I'm not
Yeah.
concerned about it.
Okay. I didn't see anything.
I just said stolen vehicles 17 versus 13
Yeah.
yesterday. I mean, that's, and we all know about the stolen vehicle.
Yeah,
Westport and
Yes.
the
Yeah,
rising
oh, wow.
crime that's
Yeah.
out there. Thank you, Hartford.
okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I just have one member from the public who just wants
Oh,
2 minutes or less, Christian Bodnar from Holly Road, I believe.
Hi, how's everybody doing this evening?
sorry, we didn't see you. We don't see you.
Good, no problem. Thank you so much for fitting me in and hearing me out. I'm at 14 Holly Road, and I'm a girl dad. I got two young daughters, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and probably the other families. We have about 10 or 12 young children on this block, and I just want to bring to your attention the problems that we've been having, if you're not already aware of the speed on Old Norwalk Road and the pedestrian crossings that are just not being followed. That's really it's been endangering our families, our elderly, our children for quite some time. As everybody knows, Old Norwalk is a major tributary into the town, and it's very, very busy at all times of day. In this particular intersection, we have Kiwanis Park, we have New Canaan Community Preschool, we have the summer camps at the YMCA, and there's just tons and tons of children and elderly who are using this crosswalk, trying to get across this road pretty much every day. Now, in particular, New Canaan Community Preschool has a playground right on the border of Old Norwalk at the intersection of Holly, and they don't have any hardened security or hardened perimeters around that. And, my fear is just that it's a matter of time before we have a car that gets into that playground during the school days where the kids are playing. Now, I got to commend
Sorry,
Chief
Chris,
Delfrico.
I'm just looking for it on the map.
Oh, sure.
I'm not
Thanks so
checking.
much. It's just in the city of Kiwanis Park. I just got to say thank you to Chief Delfrico. I can't even say it. I'm sorry, Chief. Just a little nervous here. Delfrico and Chief Walsh. We reached out to them a couple times over the last couple of years, and immediately they have come out, put up the signs, the speed signs, and sent out officers to do some patrols, and we can't thank them enough. It helps a lot. But unfortunately, this is just a problem that just keeps on continuing. I think, Chief, the last time I checked with you, you had said that the speed cameras said that the average speed on this road is somewhere in the range of 41, and it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone. We've talked about adding speed humps, but we can't because it's an emergency access point. And there also may be some associated issues with plows and noise. And other than, the town has put up so many signs and done everything they can, but every day, my wife and my children, and we watch other people, the elderly, literally almost get hit by cars. And the reason is that the speed at which people are driving down this road, there's just not stopping distance to stop for people in this pedestrian walkway. I've had drivers just wave their hands saying, sorry. These have been school buses. They've been the Suburbans that drive people to school. It's just a very sad situation. And the chief has done everything he can, with the resources that he has to send patrols out here. But, absent of putting another unit on the road, which I imagine will cost several $100,000s to do more enforcement, there doesn't seem to be any calming on this road. And I just wanted to speak in support of the speed cameras that were just recently authorized and signed into law by the governor. I don't have any affiliation with any of the companies, but I know in New York City they've had, I think they reported a 77% decrease in the speed as a result of these cameras. I know 2 companies, after some, unbillable work today, I looked online, Traffic Logics and Vera Mobility. I know they manufacture these speed cameras. Both can be mobile, such that the town could perhaps do a pilot program to test them in different locations, although I don't know if that would work with the legislation at the local level that's needed to put them into place. But I think they average around $12,000 to $18,000 on state contract. Now, I heard some people mentioning what needs to be done to comply with that, and just after a brief review of the particular legislation, that's bill number 5917. I believe these speed cameras have to be limited to use in pedestrian safety zones designated by the town and school safety zones designated by the town. So if there aren't already zones designated, that would have to be enacted by the local municipality, that being New Canaan. And we'd also have to adopt some legislation that designates that these particular ordinances would be enforced at these particular locations. There would have to be an officer
We're
from
gonna
New
look
Canaan.
into it. We're gonna look into
Right.
that.
Okay,
Chris,
anyway,
yeah,
I just
I
wanted
think-
to be in support of that, and
Yeah.
I think the cost is much less than, although I'd love to have as much police presence as we can, I think the cost is much less than adding another patrol unit, and it will have a much higher effect. And I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, and this, particularly the chief, the assistant chief, and Officer Maury, who came down the other day after my wife and two girls were almost hit by a head-on car at this intersection. I believe that was 2 days ago. So thank you, everybody. I hope I was in with my 5 minutes.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Just to touch on that real
Yeah.
quick, too, we did get Officer Moore and Officer Collins who responded to that call, did let us know. And we were in contact with Tiger, too bad he's not here for that part. Speak better to it, but we are gonna look into getting the flashing beacons for the crosswalk there.
Yeah, like we have in other places.
Yeah.
Well, not a fix.
Yeah.
but a
The
mini-
police does so much, and I can't thank them enough. Everybody, and they track down the vehicle, and this is a wonderful municipality that we have. We're able to have such a good relationship and hands-on approach by all the administrative people and the officers. And just want to say thank you from all of us here.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other matters? Do we need an executive session today?
Don't have anything.
Okay. Well, then I would move that we adjourn. In favor?
Oh.
We're adjourned.